share a little bit of her experience with y'all that you might know. Y'all are like the main course, and then we've got some desserts at the end with our scholarship presentations. Okay. Can you go back one slide?
Go back one.
Oh,
Shoot.
sorry. You're good. Tech. A little bit, I want to talk a little bit about VAR, the Vietnamese American Roundtable. Our mission is that we envision a strong, unified Vietnamese American community that works towards improving the quality of life for all. And so that's sort of where the SEEDS program comes from, right? Is how is it that we're going to develop our young leaders in the community to become the leaders that we need for tomorrow, right? Slide on. I'm gonna go by quick because we want to hear y'all. So we have a couple of different pillars that SEEDS help, that uphold our SEEDS summer youth program, right? One of them is cultural learning, and so one of the things that y'all have been able to do is learn a little bit more about Vietnamese American culture, understand what our place is in American culture, right? Click. Thinking about looking forward to next year, 2026 is an election year, how people and power intersect, what it is that we can do to participate in the communities that we're a part of. Click. And then again, how do we build community, right? What does that look like over food, across different generations, with the people that have come and shared their wisdom and knowledge with us as speakers. And so at the intersection of these three pillars, right, is our SEED Summer Youth Program. It started in 2017 when VAR, the Vietnamese American Roundtable, was incorporated. Y'all are part of the 8th year that this program has been going on. So there are 8 years of SEEDS mentees, students, high school students, college students that are now even on part of our staff, our volunteers, our interns, part of our board of directors, right, who have gone through the program, come back in support of the program. We have some returning mentees here now. And so y'all, I think for the community showcase, this is something that we've done each year that we've had SEEDS, and it's a time when y'all come up and really showcase what it is that you've taken away from the program, any reflections that you have, and then what seeds you plant for the next community, right? Click.
Wrong button.
And then before we start, I want to just acknowledge and say thank you to the Vietnamese American Service Center, the VAS, which has served as our home base. We have Jandy and Ethan Lang in the back who are joining us for your presentations. I think we had 4 or 5 sessions here this year, and it's been really great to host the program and bring the students here and really feel the power of our Vietnamese American community and what we can accomplish, right, as a collective. Next. Click. Cool. So we have a special guest that is joining us for today. Part of SEEDS is that everything is free. Each session for the last 7 sessions, it has been free thanks to our funders, our sponsors, our volunteers, our supporters. And part of the program being free is that each of the mentees, when they join the program, get a copy of a book. In our first 2 sessions, our orientation, origin story session, and our refugee history session, we use the book a lot to think about, or to ask the students to think about, what is it that you know about your family history and where you come from, right? How is it that you're gonna use that family history and all the things that you do in your school, your life, your personal life, your community, whatever that is, right? And then what kind of questions you wanna ask your family to connect yourselves with the roots that you come from, right? So the best we could do, if you hit that slide on, is a book to quote unquote break your heart and heal it, right? Its author, Thi Bui, if you can click the next slide, is someone who we're really fortunate to call a friend for the SEED Summer Youth Program, who has come and shared her experience with the mentees before. I think we've been using the best we could do for every 8 years of SEED so far, and so there's a lot of continuity and legacy when it comes to T's memoir and her personal story and connection with her family to our students. And it also it's really wonderful to be able to have her here joining us on Zoom because this year is the 50th anniversary of the end of the Fall of Saigon and this mass exodus of refugees, right? And so for T, who was born in Vietnam and came to the US in 1978 as a part of the Boat People refugees, right? To be able to put her story and her family's story into art, right, that we're able to use as a part of the program and the best we could do. And through her teaching with the California, she also teaches at Cal Arts Her book has been featured by UCLA, the City of San Francisco, University of Washington. She also has illustrated picture books as A Different Pond, that's written by the poet Balfi, as well as one that she penned with her son Hien and co-illustrated with her son Hien, penned by the author Viet Thanh Nguyen, called Chicken of the Sea. Is T ready? We have her on Zoom. We have our mentees here with us today. T, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Thank you so much for joining seats. And the floor is yours.
We give it up. Clap it up.
Christine Fountain here also.
Christine.
She's present.
She's here.
Hey, thanks for bringing me in. I've been a big fan of VAR for a long time, and I love the work that you do. I love that you all are here. I'm just really honored to be a part of it in some way. I wish I could be down there in person. I actually flew out yesterday from New Orleans to spend some time with my mother, and she lives up in Richmond, so I couldn't make the day work in person. So thanks for doing Zoom with me. I wish I could be there in person because I had not planned a speech. My friend Viet Thanh Nguyen is really good at speeches, so you might consider getting him if you want a speech. But I was hoping to be able to do more of a dialogue with you, and I will say one thing about that. I guess I am brought in to talk about how do you talk to your parents a lot, and my main takeaway from having done that with my parents is you can't assume anything. And so I think that is really the main reason why I don't prepare speeches. It's strange to me. I never know what to say in advance of meeting the people that I'm going to talk to, what I'm supposed to say, because it would require having a lot of assumptions about you and who you are. And I think that is the heart of why I do the work that I do. And the way that I do it is really, the book's not really a memoir. It's just a vehicle for me to ask a lot of questions that I had. So I sat my parents down, I basically trapped them, and I asked them a lot of questions that I had, and it turned into a dialogue that went back and forth over many years. And the end result of that is the book that you read. But it was really not like something that I came up with on my own. It was generated by an actual dialogue that I just couldn't have had on my own. So in order for me to do anything meaningful for you today that you're going to take away and be useful to you, and really all I want to do is be useful these days, it has to be more of a dialogue. So I'm really dying to hear what you've been thinking about as you go through this program. And what are your burning questions as you take the step out into the world and have to apply all these things? I know it's a lot of pressure to be called a young leader, but you really are. And so I guess I'll open the floor up to see if we can have more of a back and forth. Even if you want to just say a comment and not a question for starters, that's okay too.
Thanks, T. I don't know if you can see, I'm over here with the mentees. Opening the floor. Yeah. Gavin, start us off.
All right. I want to ask a quick question. Oh, my bad. My name is Devin, and I'm a rising sophomore. And I want to ask you a quick question and the question is, why did you write your book like the way it is, with like the limited color palette and, with like that specific drawing style?
The drawing style really just comes from, that's how I knew how to draw, and that was literally the best I could do with where I was at the time. There's a false rumor out there that I didn't know how to draw before drawing the book. That's not true. Like, I'm good, but not that good. I just didn't know how to draw comics. I didn't know how to put things in sequential panels and stuff before starting on the book, and that's probably why it took so long. And so really what the drawing style that is there is just it's basically my voice in pictures. The limited color palette also comes from the fact that I didn't know what I was doing when I started, and so I had to keep it simple. If you ever like if you are like me and you get yourself into a lot of trouble trying to do things that you don't have any business doing because you're not trained, then the least you can do for yourself is like simplify a few things. So limited color palette versus full color, just draw in the style that you know, and yeah, it was the cheapest way to make a movie on my own because the book is really a revenge project against all the bad Vietnam War movies that I grew up watching. But it's really expensive and really complicated and usually requires a team of people to make a movie. And this was my way of basically making a movie on my own.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much, T, for joining us today. I have another question. Since writing your book, what would you say was maybe the biggest like revelation or moment of connection between you and your parents during the book's inception? And can you compare it to a moment maybe in present day and how that's changing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that I learned a lot about myself as well as my parents. There were all the factual things, of course, that I learned about my parents. But I think what I learned about myself is that I really want to spend quality time with people, like talking about deep things. And I have a much harder time feeling like I'm close to somebody if all we ever talk is surface details. Some people are really good at that. They're really good at telling jokes, having a good time, talking about like what we're gonna have for dinner. I'm really bad at that. And in order for me to be fully present with people, I need to like learn what they were dreaming about when they were young, and I want to have like stories about them that go deep. And so I guess because like the best thing that we have in this life is like really our relationships with people, knowing that about myself has allowed me to have more quality time with the people that I live my life with. And so I guess like these days when I'm hanging out with my family or my friends or my loved ones and I don't feel that spark, then I know what to do. Like I know the shifts that we have to have in our conversations for me to feel close to them. And if we can't, then I like figure out what kind of like small changes I can make in the environment and in the conditions so that it's more conducive to that sort of bonding that I really like.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience.
Hi, my name is Madison. I'm a rising senior in high school, and I was wondering, so you mentioned that after talking with your parents and learning their stories, you learn more about yourself. And I was just wondering if you feel complete in that, or is there still a lot that you're maybe not struggling, but you're still searching for? I know it's very personal, but I'm just wondering like if you feel like there are any loose ends in your narrative or your story, your identity.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was a rising senior in high school, I remember thinking that by about 40, you figured out life, right? Like you just know, you just understand everything, and you're like a full-on adult by then. And then I hit 40, and I was like, nope, it's not true. You're always still trying to figure it out. And I'm 50 now, and I'm still learning about myself. But I am grateful that I have figured out some things. Because I think like if you never try to understand yourself, then you're just completely at the mercy of like external factors, right? And external factors aren't always great. So then I think it's very easy to become unhappy in this life and a little bit lost. But if you know what your questions are and you give yourself time and space to like really reflect about like what it is that motivates you and what you want to like make better in this life that maybe you weren't born with, or like, you know, maybe the the origin story that you were given when you were born into this world is like a tragic one or just a complicated one that's not easy. And instead of constantly comparing yourself to people who have it better and making yourself miserable as a result, like if you create the time and space for yourself to understand your circumstances and make the best of them and transmute that pain, whatever you were born with, into something higher, right? You strive for the best that you can make of your life, then it gives you this like inner light and strength that I think you do carry with you into whatever twists and turns life throws at you, and it will, because the universe has jokes, and we're constantly having to pivot to handle them. So yes, I am still constantly pivoting and still learning, but I do feel grateful all the time that this book gave me a chance to puzzle out the origin story and heal from it in a lot of ways.
Thank you.
Any last questions? Mentees? Mona, you got one?
Hi, thanks for coming. I'm Mona, a volunteer with the SEEDS program, and so I struggle with self-doubt a lot, and I noticed that you talk a lot about adversity, so I wonder what are some tools you have for us? You mentioned that this is like a revenge project, the book of revenge project, because movies are daunting, so you pivot it to a book. So just like throughout your life, how do you deal with adversity and just big projects?
Great question. Gosh, I think it's really great to be angry. I think it's great to be angry and to be irreverent, and sometimes it means you have to fight everybody because we're not brought up to be angry and resentful. We're taught to like smooth it out, and often I think it's a missed opportunity to face adversity head on. Especially if it's a hostile adversity, especially if it's like an oppressive kind of adversity. And, we have a lot of that coming at us these days. And like, you can't just forgive in advance of people doing the work to deserve forgiveness. And sometimes like when you're dealing with like social injustice, you can't be forgiving that. You have to actually like take it on like head on and be angry about it enough to like act and speak for change, right? And sometimes you're protecting people. So I think I just let myself get mad, and I find that anger is like a really good fuel to change things for the better. However, somebody recently gave me some really good advice that I think about all the time now. And this person said, once you learn to focus it all on your enemies, then it's over for them. And the unsaid thing, which I appreciated not being said exactly, because it's too lectury, is like, don't waste all of that good anger on your loved ones and your poor mom. Like, life is short. We do have to forgive our loved ones, and sometimes we are angry at them, but we have bigger enemies out there. And if we can learn to focus all of our rage on the things that actually need that rage directed at them, then it saves our loved ones from our Hulk energy, and it allows us to not make regretful mistakes in our relationships too.
Thank you so much, T. I feel like that's a good place to, like, a word of advice. That word of advice for you is a good place to end, right? I think especially as we have, our mentees are here, some of them like brought their families with them. And so this is like the first time that their families get a chance to see like what the program's about too. And I think just being able, especially like now, to be able to channel that rage into something that is motivated or even connects you back to your history and where you come from and all the things that are meaningful to you, I feel like is exactly what we're looking for. So thank you. I want to thank you again so much for joining us for our showcase. Yeah, thank you for taking the time all the way in New Orleans to call in.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, and I wish everybody an amazing end of the program. And yeah, so much admiration for you going forward as loving warriors that we are.
Thank you, T. See you soon.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Let's see, switching it up. How y'all feeling? Yeah, feeling good, feeling good. This is like, again, we got through the appetizer. We're here for the main course, and we're gonna start strong. I think school starts next week, and so we do have some folks that have been part of the program for the past 7 weeks that weren't able to make it today. So we asked them to send a couple videos in, or their project videos in. So we're gonna be alternating a little bit, but Isabel, who is about to speak, is one of our mentees from 2023 who has come out and volunteered for the past couple of years for the program. She has some reflections and remarks before we get started off with Gavin. So here's Isabel.
Hi everyone, this is Isabel, and I wanted to come on here and say I'm so sad that I couldn't be here with you guys today, but I did want to send you guys a message that congratulations to all the mentees. I'm so proud of you guys for completing the Seed Summer program from VARS and spending early Saturday mornings with us at the Basque or the other locations we've been at through this entire summer. And I know you guys will do amazing at your presentations. I wanted to speak a little bit about my journey with Seeds and VARS. I was a Seeds mentee a couple summers ago, and I came back last year and this year to come volunteer. And Seeds and VARS both helped me kind of figure out my own identity and my own voice as a Vietnamese American, and has truly supported me throughout my journey in finding myself. And because of that, I wanted to give back and volunteer. And each year, I've always learned something new about whether that be meeting new people or the new lessons they have every summer. And I hope that you guys found the same kind of support and insight into yourselves through Seeds. And I hope you guys come back to volunteer or intern for VARS. That would be so amazing. And I hope to see you guys soon. And I am really super sad that I couldn't be here today, but I do hope to see you guys at the Boba Social that is coming up and hear more about your presentations. And yeah, so thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Isabel. Boba Social. Usually we have one last session after today, the showcase, where we invite y'all out to come and drink boba with us, and then y'all are the ones that are telling us what it is that we should include in Seeds for next year, right? So there's that loop, there's that continuity, there's that seed that you're planting for the future generations, right? So for our introductions, we're gonna start off with Gavin, but for all the mentees, we asked them to answer these questions, if they could reflect on their time throughout the program, what was their favorite session and why, and then what's one seed that they wanna plant for the future, in addition to this project that they have been thinking about and working on and are going to be presenting to y'all now. We're gonna first start off with Mr. Gavin Nguyen. Gavin, step on up. If you could start us off strong, introduce yourself, and then as I find your slide, and we'll get it rolling. If y'all can please give it up for Gavin.
Alright, so how are y'all doing this afternoon?
Hey, we're doing good.
Y'all ready to present, or not really, huh? Alright, so anyways, about me, my name is Gavin Nguyen, and I'm a rising sophomore at Yerba Buena High School. And what I learned most at Seeds is that a lot of people have given up their entire lives and have dedicated so much just to achieve what we have here today, the VAS, the Vietnamese American community here in San Jose. And my favorite session was refugee resiliency, because it really showed me a glimpse of what some people had to deal with back in the Vietnam War. And what Seeds will I plant is I'm still gonna try to continue helping out my community, as well as using my talents to help others. Alright, So my slide deck is on self-improvement. So really quick opening question. How many of you have ever felt like a period of time where like you've been like pushed or pressured to like do something like a certain way or to become like a certain thing? Also quite a few of us. Alright. So, you know, I haven't been pressured way too that much, but I still want to like try to like help you in case that you have. So a little bit more about me is this is my first year at Seeds. I'm bilingual. I speak English and okay Vietnamese, I would say. and just like to balance out the good and the bad, I'm really scared of roller coasters. Alright, so life isn't like the easiest game to play. You know, like life always like has ups and downs. Like sometimes it seems like it has it out for you. Sometimes it seems that like it's doing everything to lift you up. But the main thing that we need to focus on in life isn't how we like live through this, but how we get up from the lowest points in our life. So expanding your views. So one of the things that I like to do to like, you know, like sometimes like, you know, I'm a curious guy. I like to wonder like what can I do or like what else can I do to like help people or what can I do just for like fun. So here's like 3 things that I like doing. First is reflection, because you know we're human. Sometimes we say things or do things that we probably shouldn't be doing, right? Or that we probably shouldn't do to like the wrong people. So sometimes it's nice to have like just a time to yourself and you know have a good think about what you did and maybe try to like fix it. Secondly, it's hobbies. So hobbies are, in a nutshell, what you enjoy doing, right? So and if you find enough hobbies for yourself, then you know your mental state will improve. You'll find something that like you really enjoy, and maybe like you'll be able to dedicate your time, and that'll like increase like your productivity and stuff, right? And you know mental health, all in all. And finally, researching, which is kind of an odd one out, but sometimes you know if you want to know more about something and no one else can tell you, sometimes you can just search up on the internet, ask some people in your community, you know all that stuff. And for those who haven't realized, I'm a yo-yo kid.
Ooh. Show us the truth. Show us the truth.
I'll do it later. Alright. So, if you're stressed, there's, you know, sometimes it feels like it's way too much, or like your schedule is way too jam-packed, or you know, you don't have enough energy to do, or like to go through with the day. So here's some things that I find, you know, help me with everyday stress. First is talking it out. So you know, just like phone a friend or something, or you know, talk to whoever you think can help you, and you know, just talk through your problems. You know, that sometimes helps. Calling or messaging hotline. So this is where if it's really bad, you have like, you know, like if you're having like suicidal thoughts, all that stuff, you know, there's like suicide hotline, mental health hotline, you know, all that stuff. And you know, they're all free, so you can access it whenever. Finding others to help you. So, you know, sometimes you can find, like, sometimes maybe your family or your friends, like, they won't know the situation you're in. So sometimes it's better to just go around in your community and find people who do know what you're going through, and then they can tell you how they got out, and you know, help you get better. And then finally, taking a breather. You know, some people just take a break. That's all I can say about that. All right, thanks. All right, so planning ahead. So you know, with all these young faces in like the front rows, and myself included, I would like to say how to like plan ahead for your life. And this is like something I sometimes do, and I find like this like really helps me balance out my schedule and make sure that I have time to, you know, do stuff that I enjoy, like hobbies, right? So starting out is that you want to like set a couple of goals for yourself, and you want to put like smaller steps to achieve that. So let's say I want to like get better at coding, right? I might like sign up for a coding class or take like a class about that at school, right? And then one thing that you can do is, you know, kind of commit to it. Well, not too much, because sometimes it'll change, right? But just commit to it enough where like you actually like feel motivated to do it. And then finally give yourself like a small time limit, again, just to like boost like your commitment to it. And then some mistakes that you should avoid when you plan it is never be too specific, because the future is never set in stone. So if you're too specific and then it doesn't go your way, you know, suddenly your plan is all like jumbled and lost, right? And then for commitment, make sure you don't commit too much. So like commit like a right amount. But if you commit too much and then like again it falls into like pieces, what are you gonna do now, right? anyways, back to seeds because the first few slides not really connected to seeds, but now I'm gonna say how like this idea and like these slides are like connected to this program. So Seeds has allowed me to talk to like many different people who I probably would have never met if not for this program, and all in all, it's been like a really fulfilling like program. I've been able to talk with different people, share ideas, collaborate. So it's been a really fun summer, yeah. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thanks, Gavin, for sharing your wisdom with us and starting us off strong. You want to be in the hot seat? Anyone have any questions for Gavin? We can open it up. Hey, wait, but you haven't done the yo-yo trick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you say you're a yo-yo kid, but I haven't seen any yo-yo yet, so.
My bad.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. I think glad that you connected to the refugee resiliency session and you're able to bring some of the lessons of resiliency to us today. And to the folks that came out to Community Showcase. Lynn, you're up next. I'm gonna pull up your introduction. And I'm gonna pass you this mic. If y'all, you got a mic? Okay, cool. Turn it on. If y'all could give it up for Mr. Lin Do, who's he's sharing a little bit about connections and community.
Second to last one. Boom.
Hi, my name's Lin. I'm a rising junior at Saratoga High, and I think that during my Seeds program, I learned a lot by connecting with my Vietnamese side and bonding with a lot of new people that maybe I wouldn't have met considering I'm from a kind of further area. The session I connected with most was session 5, which was Not So Little Saigon Stories, where I think we had like a lot of fun activities and I learned a lot about Vietnam's history. And I hope to be able to plant the seed where I'm able to be more active in all my communities and I can help out in other nonprofits around my area.
What's your presentation today about?
It's about connecting through communities.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is my presentation, which is the importance of building a successful community. So first of all, I want to start out with like, what does a community really mean? The basic definition is that it's a group of people that live in the same place or they share a similar characteristic, and like examples can be sports teams, school clubs, or anything else that has like the same common interest. But for me, a community is much more than that. It's something where I think I can go there and look forward to having fun there, and I can feel welcome there. And I think most of all, it's a place where I should be able to be surrounded with people that push me to become the best person that I can be. So my two communities that I had before were my soccer team. First of all, because that's my favorite sport, and I enjoy like going around. I love all my teammates, and like they all push me to become a better person. And also my friends. I think all my friends, they all support me, and I always look forward to having fun with them. And they always also push me, whether or not it's academically or athletically. And then also, Seeds was a new community that I recently joined, like at the beginning of June, I guess. I didn't really know what to expect coming into Seeds. But I think that Seeds taught me a lot of different things. It taught me how to bond with people in the community. It taught me how to stand out in my community, and of course, it taught me new things about my culture. In conclusion, I think that being able to be part of a strong community is definitely one of the most important life skills that someone can have. I think that being part of Seeds really showed me how important it can be, and it showed me how to build myself a strong community. And I'm very grateful to Seeds for creating such an inclusive environment where I was able to express my feelings without feeling like I'm being judged or anything. So thank you to my fellow mentees, the volunteers, and the board for making this AP program such a great experience.
I know you didn't bring a yo-yo, but I know we got a Rubik's Cube if you want to scramble it real quick. Maybe at the end, maybe at the end. Yeah, thank you so much, Lynn. I want to, let's see, pull up. We did have a couple of mentees that weren't able to join us today. I just want to make sure that they're able to be a part of the space. One of them is Lynette Tran, and I'm going to pull her up here, and she's going to share a couple of remarks with us.
Hi, guys.
And then after, Dee, you're on deck, just so you know.
My name is Lynette, and I'm so sorry that I'm not there physically with you to take part in the community showcase today. But it's okay, because I have on my Aoyai, and we adapt and we thrive. So I just wanted to talk to you today about the Catholic Church, and how for me it's more than just religion, but it was actually how I found my Vietnamese identity. So the Catholic Church was a starting point for my family and I, because it's actually how we were sponsored to immigrate. I know that in San Jose especially, because we have such a large Vietnamese cộng đoàn, we have a couple of pillar churches that help our community organize, and one of them is the Đức Mẹ La Vang, which is actually, I think, the second oldest church we have in San Jose. It's actually located in the heart of San Jose, in downtown San Jose. And although it's not the church that my family and I frequent every week, it is a church that I have been to, and it's a church that I do have memories of. We actually go to St. Mary Goretti, which is not too far away, but that is the church that I take part of. I had a very church-centered, church-oriented childhood, if you will. I went to Yali in Việt Ngữ for 8 years. So from 1st grade to 8th grade, I was participating in those classes. And those classes are lengthy. They go from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then after 3 p.m., you go to Timi Tante, which is usually in conjunction with these classes. And Timi Tante, which is in my best ability to describe it, is a Catholic Boy Scouts / Girl Scouts. And so at first, obviously, as a 7-year-old, sacrificing your Saturday every Saturday for 7 hours on end, at least, was not something that I felt joyful doing. And so this was not a choice of mine originally. But as I continued participating in Mass and going to Yali Việt Ngữ, I found that it was actually my opportunity to connect with the elders in my own family, like my ông ngoại and my bông ngoại. My ông ngoại is a man of few words. He's actually hardened by the war because he served in the Vietnam War, and he was eventually jailed because he was a U.S. sympathizer. And so when I struggled in my Yali and Việt Ngữ classes, struggling to understand the idioms I was being taught, struggling to understand the different dấu, like dấu quyền, dấu hỏi, dấu ngã, struggling in general to grasp the content, and I was able to reach out to him and ask him about these things, that was my opportunity to connect with him. And I'm really thankful for that, because he speaks so little, and he's not someone who you're very easily able to open up to. Because I had these struggles, I was able to reach out to him, and in time, the more time we spent together, the more time I spent learning with him, the more I got to know him. So a little background on him. Well, actually, I'll skip that and I'll go to it later. But as I continued participating in church and going to Mass, I realized that whenever I looked into the pews and I saw this multi-generational Vietnamese community of goes and Jews and backs and ohms, I realized that we had a sense of shared resilience. Well, maybe me not as much, because I was born and raised in America and I didn't really have any hardship per se that they had. They had ties that my family could relate to. And once I really started to take the time to interact with them and learn and really open up, I was no longer just a passive churchgoer, but I really wanted to participate and get to know the people that I was sitting right next to in the pews. I learned about their families, and I learned about their stories and their journeys of how they came here. And that was something that was really inspiring to me, and also something that I found joy in. Hearing from their stories and realizing the similarities that we had gave me a sense of belonging. And the sense of belonging helped me overcome the alienation that I long felt with my own Vietnamese identity, because when you grow up in America as a Vietnamese American, you don't feel authentically Vietnamese, which is so wild, because I feel like I didn't grow up going to school on a motorbike. I feel like I wasn't truly Vietnamese. And so, as I continued participating in Mass and going to Timi Tante and Yali Việt Ngữ, it no longer became an obligation, but it became a choice. On the far left-hand side of like the people in the blues holding up the white little slips was actually me at the end of our year like ceremony as I actually graduated Yalu Vietnam and I continued participating no longer as a student, now as a TA helping younger kids like learn about Vietnamese and potentially even their catechism. And so this was a ceremony where they were recognizing all of the people who were like volunteering their time every Saturday to help teach. And then the photo in the center is me in Thu Nhi, and it's me at the very last stage. I have a brown scarf on, which is like the final stage before I get the red scarf, which is like essentially the equivalent of like a counselor. So at the brown scarf, you're a counselor in training. And so as you can see, I've progressed a lot in my journey with Thu Nhi. And then on the very far right, I'm actually reading a lecture in Mass. I'm reading the Vietnamese Bible in fully Vietnamese, which is something that I'm very, very proud of. But again, that shows how I was taking more of an active role in Mass now. And because I was taking this more active role, I was able to flex that muscle of not only speaking Vietnamese, but also reading and writing. And writing is something that I've long struggled with because every stroke I did, every like mark I put on my words, I second guessed it. I felt like it wasn't right. But as I was surrounded by these Vietnamese Americans, I started gaining not only confidence in my own Vietnamese identity, but confidence in my ability to practice these things like writing and speaking. And so I guess, as you can see, the church was more than just religion for me. It was how I was able to find myself in my own context of being Vietnamese, you know? So yeah, thank you for listening.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I think this question around what community looks like for us and how it comes up in the Vietnamese American community is definitely something that we reiterated throughout the course of Seeds this past year. And to continue a little bit about what this community means to them, we've got V on deck, and I'll pull up your deck. If y'all can give it up for V Nguyen. Where are you, V? Boom. Okay. Insert pictures later. It's okay. You got it. Take it away.
Xin chào cả nhà.
Ooh, okay.
Hi everyone. My name is Bing Nguyen. I go to Evergreen Valley College and I'm 20 years old. As I'm reflecting after 8 weeks with VAR, I learned that everything is possible because we are Vietnamese, and that is something that I'm really proud of. I also learned that, whenever I'm making some tough decisions or facing some challenges, I would think about the Vietnamese history and also like the truth and value that I've learned throughout my 7 weeks with Seeds. And yeah, and my favorite section, I would say, was section 4. It was the Little Saigon scavenger hunt, and it was my favorite section was not mainly because my team won, but getting first place was the best feeling I ever had. But we were running a lot in the heat, and how I got to talk to my teammates and fighting for that first place, and that first place prize was the best thing ever. And what seed we are planned, I am growing into a person who will create a lot of job opportunities for my people, like my aunt, my dad, my parents, or like the people around in the community. Also create a lot of skill development programs for my AAPI communities. And I am becoming a person who stands for my Vietnamese families and preserve our culture.
Let me find seeds. Oh, right there. All right, take us through. What seeds are you becoming?
So my topic today is what seat am I becoming after 7 weeks, 8 weeks with VAR, and it's seated by VAR. So I'll start with my visions, the seeds that I'm growing into. So I am growing into a person who will get involved in the Vietnamese community. I want to learn more about the Vietnamese history of San Jose, and I want to give back through nonprofits by volunteering. And I am volunteering for a few of the nonprofit in San Jose. And next, I want to start my own nonprofit. I want to help Vietnamese adults like my parents and my family members and the youth with learning skill and community support. And last but not least, I want to embrace and celebrate my identity with pride, purpose, and belonging. So next is my why. Why do I want to give back? So first I was inspired by VAR after 8 weeks, but I was also really inspired by ACWP, which is one of the nonprofit that I'm part of. So I'm motivated by the work that they have done for us and for the community. And ACWP really taught me that I do really have good people in my life. And VAR gave me that welcoming space to learn what it means to be a Vietnamese American. And VAR and the people really show me that giving back to the community matters.
What's ACWP stand for?
ACWP stand for Aid to Children Without Parents. Second, one of my whys is from watching my parents or like my family members struggles. So my family recently moved to the States in 2020, so it was hard to watch them struggle finding jobs or learning how to speak English. So that's one of the reasons why I want to create programs to help adults like my parents, my uncles, my aunts, with language, jobs, or just paperwork or something just as simple, and also give them a purpose to serve and just to stay healthy. And also to help students like myself. I go to a community college, and a lot of my friends struggle with grades, procrastinations, identity, social media, and some of them are too busy with work. So also in middle school, high school, and also in college, I struggle with memory retentions, also learning how to keep up. So one of the reasons I want to start my own nonprofit is to create programs to help students learn how to learn. Also to work on their sleep schedule, fitness, nutrition, mindset, and study methods. How VAR have changed me. So I didn't really expect a lot from VAR during my first section coming into VAR, but I was, from thinking, what can I do to succeed, or to how can I work on myself so that I can serve my community better. And I was I was struggle with things, but after reading the book, I feel relatable with the people with my community. So I went from I struggle with to others like my families, my grandparents struggled and are struggling to we struggle with. I'll close off with this quote The spread of a seed knows no limits. Once planted with purpose, it can grow across generations, communities, and continents.
Thanks so much, Dee. Thanks so much for sharing all the wisdom, Coach. B, I think we had like a bring a friend to a Seeds, get a Boba's promotion, one of the sessions. And B brought a couple of the students that she coaches, like at Andrew Hill, right? But thank you so much for planting some more seeds with us and for sharing the seeds that you're becoming. Up next, we have got Madison. If you could take the stage. Where are you, Madison? Okay. You got a mic. Okay, you got this.
Hello everyone, my name is Madison Lunwin, and I'm a rising senior at Willow Glen High School. So my reflection, I struggled a little bit about this one, but I just came to the realization that there are so many opportunities, there are so many paths and doors open for anyone, as long as they're willing to look. The people here are so nice and welcoming, and I kind of just came to learn about myself and to be exposed to the culture, but I stayed because of the people. The session that I connected most with Seeds, there were two, which was the Not So Little Saigon Stories, which that was the scavenger hunt at Grand Century Mall, and the Bridging Generations. As an artist myself, I really loved that session about art and culture. I really enjoyed that and talking to the panelists. For the seeds that I will plant, I myself am very interested in starting like a club at my high school and just like staying informed and engaging in like being involved in civic action or public demonstrations and protests and stuff like that. Yes, thank you.
And then your presentation today, let me find it, is on Vietnamese American Studies, Ethnic Studies. Here we go. And the floor is yours.
So like I mentioned earlier, I've always been interested in civic action and participating in protests and demonstrations. In elementary school, I learned about climate change and the young activist Greta Thunberg, and I attended my first Women's March with my mom when I was 13. Shout out, Mom.
Hey. Is she here today? She's here? Ooh, hey.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you a...
Got excited.
My high school is pretty liberal, I'd say, and offers 3 ethnic studies classes, and I signed up for all of them. Intro to Ethnic Studies my freshman year, Ethnic Studies Literature my sophomore year, and US History Ethnic Studies my junior year. And Vietnam and its people are never mentioned once. I never learned about my Viet side. Freshman year, I learned about the Wounded Knee Massacre and Japanese internment during World War II, but nothing about Vietnam. And sophomore year, I learned about the Third World Liberation Front in San Francisco and the 2016 Standing Rock protests, but nothing about Vietnam. Last year, I learned about the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 and the World War II Bracero program, but nothing about Vietnam. And the only thing I can recall learning about in school was when I read a brief paragraph about the Vietnam War under proxy wars during the Cold War, and that was AP World History. So I never expected, I was never exposed to my history or my people or my culture. And the Viet population in the Bay is the largest outside of Vietnam, so wouldn't it be important to kind of just mention it once? I don't know. So for my project, I said, hey, what if we change that? I aim to create a strong starting point. This is not the end-all be-all, this is a starting point, from which a curriculum could be implemented in any high school's ethnic studies program. I developed this with the idea in mind that I could present this to my San Jose Unified School District Board of Education. I included things that I wish I had learned about in school, and things I felt were interesting and important to me. However, it's still pretty basic and doesn't cover the unique and extensive history and culture of Vietnam or us as a people. Slide. Thank you. So this curriculum takes place over the course of 4 weeks, which is the average amount of time we spent in my US History Ethnic Studies class per unit. Each day is divided into specific time periods based on my school's block day schedule. Slide. So first, here are some potential teaching methods my teachers have used in the past. I like these more than just reading a textbook and taking notes because they rely on student involvement and collaboration with your peers. Activities such as the Tea Party, which I was only introduced to last year, is also good at bringing students together, and it's a good icebreaker. You just get a little card and you pretend to be a historical figure that either existed or was like a legend, and then you talk to others and you take notes on a predetermined little question paper, and it's a really good introduction. Slide. My ethnic studies classes also usually had a guiding question per unit. This helped to create a focal point throughout the lessons. And I think some potential questions could be, how has the Vietnamese diaspora influenced what it means to be Vietnamese American? And why is pre-Vietnam culture, or how, different from post-Vietnam War culture? At the end of the unit, the assessment should aim to answer this question. Slide. So potential assessment options that aren't a Scantron or an essay, because those can get pretty repetitive. My favorite thing is the Socratic seminar because I get to develop ideas with my peers and we can have really good conversations with each other, and it also helps to practice public speaking. Slide. Thank you. So for the for the first week, I thought it would be important for students to learn a brief and honestly overly summarized history of Vietnam because we don't have a lot of time in class, starting with the geography, origin, and legends of Vietnam and its people. Slide. For the resources, I read the graphic novel The Magic Fish a couple years ago, and I loved it. It covers a few fairy tales told by the author's mother, and it also overlaps with his mother's journey from fleeing to Vietnam and assimilating into America. The art style is just gorgeous, and I even take inspiration in my own art. Then, students could learn about Vietnam's history through the Community Heritage Quilt, which was at last year's showcase, but not here right now. And with its first square being the legend of the 100 eggs. Slide. For week 2, I wanted to dedicate the entire week to the Vietnam War. Sometimes it gets repetitive, I know, but this is important. I felt like a documentary would be the best way to expose students and for them to learn holistically, but it would also have to be cut short due to limitations in time. I went down a Reddit page and I heard that the Vietnam War by Ken Burns was like the least Western and like Americanized, but I did not watch the full 18 hours. So I also felt that it was important to include the environmental degradation and the birth defects due to chemical warfare done by the US and Agent Orange. I'm really passionate about environmental science, and I felt this isn't really talked about, and it's also not really acknowledged by those 16 or so massive chemical companies. Slide. So the graphic novel, The Best We Can Do, and we talked to T, but it really is the perfect book for students to learn about the fear of fleeing their homes and being forced to assimilate into America. I was kind of seeing what would be the best way to expose students who've never really learned about it. And I feel like this would be good because it's really a first person, and it's very heartfelt and emotional. And I also found a couple videos about Agent Orange, and I did watch through it, and it is pretty graphic. So I'm not sure if it would be allowed in school, but it's still worth pushing for. Week 3, I wanted to cover the Vietnamese community in the Bay Area. I felt the best way to do this would be to read a few articles and local events, and also invite a guest speaker, like what we did today. It gives the students an opportunity to ask questions and take notes and really feel that personal connection and learn about it in a sensitive way. Since this year is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon, I also found a video covering it, and I was watching the video and it did include a little bit about VAR, and like I saw this room and I was like, wait, I'm gonna be there tomorrow. Yeah, so next slide. So for the 4th and final week, I saved the best for last, which is the food and music. I figured students could listen to a few songs of different genres and then see the English translation. Even though it probably won't be accurate, it can still give them an idea of what the lyrics mean or what emotions they could be conveying. And the last day will be reserved for the assessment, whether that be an essay, Socratic seminar, presentation. I guess it's just up to the teacher and their teaching style. Transition. So fun fact about me, I'm actually vegetarian. My mom's vegetarian, and she made me vegetarian, but it's okay. I love being vegetarian. Sometimes this comes in the way of eating traditional Viet food. I can't even have Nuoc Mam, but I found a website dedicated to vegan and vegetarian recipes. So this is a cool resource for other vegetarian or vegan Vietnamese people like me. And of course, I had to include Chef Vu's cookbook, which was given to us mentees last session when we talked about food. Slide. Thank you for listening.
Might have to invite you back to, try implement some of this the lessons to our Seeds mentees next year.
Oh, I just gave you like a whole summer of content, yeah?
Oh, right? We got like a whole syllabus. Thank you so much for that, and also thank you for inviting your parents, both your parents, to be out here today. Johanna, I'm gonna go to you next on deck. If y'all can welcome Johanna Khan. Where are you, Johanna? Oh.
Here we go.
Cool.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Johanna Tran and I currently go to Santa Teresa and I'm a rising sophomore. And my reflection from Seeds is that learning your roots can broaden your horizons and connect you with others. Through this, I learned about so many things that I wouldn't have known before about Vietnam's history, and I also learned about the people around me and in my community. The session that I connected with the most for Seeds was session 4, which was Not So Little Saigon Stories, where we got to run around Grand Century in Vietnam Town. My team didn't win, but we did have a lot of fun running around with no water in the heat, but it's okay because we got to enjoy good food after, so it's all right. And then the seeds I'll plant is I want to be more active in the Vietnamese community, and I'll do this by volunteering in the Lunar New Year events that you guys hold every year. And then for my presentation, I decided to do a video. At night, I kind of spent a lot of time on this, but it's okay. Because, you know what, I really liked it. So here's my video.
Giây phút em gặp anh là em biết em si tình 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 tình. Nếu anh không làm mây trời, nếu như anh chẳng xa vời, nếu như anh không được trên đời.
Hi everyone, my name is Johanna and I'll be talking about the rise of V-pop for my showcase project. This was mainly inspired by the first orientation session where we listened to Summer Twee's music. In your house, you probably hear the Vietnamese karaoke music, also known as bolero, or even hear your parents play Paris by Night. But since the rise of TikTok and other social media platforms, we have been hearing newer forms of Vietnamese music, also known as V-pop. Vietnamese pop has always been here, but has definitely been hiding in the shadows when K-pop was spreading everywhere. I would say it has just started becoming international with many songs going viral on social media. Most notably, in 2020, a remix of Fao's song, High Foot Hug, blew up on TikTok with its catchy melody and memorable dance. It currently has over 756,000 posts under the sound on TikTok. This led to an explosion of V-pop ever since. This was a time when social media started paying attention to Vietnamese artists and Vietnamese songs. Most recently, a song I believe everyone has heard at least once is Si Tin by Hoàng Thùy Linh. This song was everywhere, from everyone lip-syncing the song to doing the dance. Its upbeat instrumentals mixed with the remix that shows off Vietnamese finna house grew its popularity quickly. Through this song, many started listening to other Vietnamese artists and became regular listeners. Even many of my non-Vietnamese friends said they started listening to Viet music after seeing some trending songs on TikTok. From trending songs, where do you go from here? Concerts. K-pop artists come to America for concerts all the time. But what about Vietnamese artists? They come occasionally, but their stages aren't as big. Anh Trai Say Hi changed everything for Vietnamese music and has recently made history in Las Vegas. Anh Trai Say Hi is a TV show consisting of 30 guys who come together to produce and perform music in subgroups. This show grew popular in Vietnam and internationally, as it attracted over 18 billion views on music platforms. Many of the songs released through this show filled up Vietnam's top trending page on YouTube. After the show ended, they proceeded to have 6 concerts in Vietnam that exceeded tens of thousands of fans. A music organization saw the potential of bringing Vietnamese music overseas and started planning on bringing Anh Trai Say Hi to America. When it was first announced that it was coming to the US, no one believed it. Michael Nguyen, the organizer, said there were even accounts that told people it was a scam and even threatened international students with ICE. He said that within an hour of the tickets going out to the public, it sold $1.5 million worth of tickets. I was able to experience this concert and even got to interview someone about it. Before the concert, I was scouting around Planet Hollywood where the show was happening and I found this fan to interview.
How did you find out about Anh Trai Say Hi and what's fun about watching it?
I found out about Anh Trai Say Hi because I love watching Vietnamese show with my mom, and then it's just like our routine. And then when I find out like they have a concert here, like we just we were really like excited about it and we bought it immediately. And what's fun about it is like it's just the interaction in Vietnamese, and then their interaction about and then their songs and performances is also in Vietnamese, which I really like and really appreciate. That's why I really like it.
How do you think bringing V-pop to the world can change Vietnamese music in general?
Bringing V-pop to the world and recognize us as Vietnamese, and then we can bring our culture, bring our songs, and then like just our heritage to the world, so that we can be proud about it, and then our community, that's also can help our community like all over the world, like we can help everyone, like immigrants and students or older people to be more recognized, and I mean it's just like being more proud about being Vietnamese.
Okay, here's a little vlog of my trip. So basically I'm gonna fly to Vegas first, and then once I was there I went to like the venue, and to get into this lobby I first had to wait in like this super long line. It was actually crazy because it was like an hour before you were supposed to start lining up, but everyone was already lining up. And then I got in, I was at the very top floor of the venue, and then eventually the guys they came out, they did their little intros, and then I literally like in the middle of the concert, the folk he came out and he was like super close to like me, and he was like on my floor, it was crazy. And then another instance was I kind of like moved down to like Brunswick, and then I saw Oakland and Green. They stepped out of the door I was right next to. I was kind of shook because like I didn't think they were actually gonna come out from that side. So they told me they were, but I didn't think it was actually real. But anyways, that was my trip. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks. Okay, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I really enjoyed the concert. That's why I made my whole seats project about them. Well, to recap, Vietnamese music has definitely gone international, and it will only grow from here. I hope that you guys will check out some more Vit artists after this. Thank you.
So that's why you left. You didn't come to that one seat. You only missed one session, and it was for the Anh Trai Say Hi concert. Yeah. Wait, what?
Wait, I never missed that one. I was in Japan.
Oh, that's your.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Japan.
Never mind. Hey, I'm getting old too, you know. But shout out, affirming the V-pop choices like for each session.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Next up, we've got Mr. Ian. Ian Winters to introduce himself and present his presentation.
Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Ian Wynn, and I think my one reflection from Seeds was that it's important to learn about your past to understand the future. Because if you learn about your Vietnamese past, like you can understand some of the stuff that's happening in your life. And I think the session that I connected to was the lesson for leaders, because I really enjoyed like listening to the stories of how the volunteers came up from where they were before. And I think the seeds I will plant is I'll stay engaged in my community and look for more opportunities for programs like this.
Hey Ian, how'd you hear about this program and go through it?
My dad used to be on the board that made Seeds, so he just signed me up for it. Okay, the presentation that I'm gonna do today is connection through gaming. Next slide. I play a lot of video games, but some of my favorite are Roblox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Valorant, and Counter-Strike. These games, they're really fun, and they can give you skills like creativity and teamwork, because you have to work with your team a lot. Next slide. Why I play. I like to play these games because it makes me happy. They're really fun, and every time I get off the game, it makes me really happy that I played those games. And another reason is that you can play from anywhere in the world, as long as you have a device and Wi-Fi. It can also strengthen your relationships with other people, because me personally, I like to play with my friends a lot, and it makes me really happy because it's like online bonding, because I live really far from my friends, so I'm not able to really meet up with them and do anything, but I get to play video games with them. And I also play with my cousin that lives in Texas. He's really laggy, but it works out. And it can be a way to like escape reality. I know a lot of people that like to listen to music to like relieve their stress and escape reality, and mine is video games. Next slide. I joined Seeds. And I gave up 4 hours of my gaming on Saturday to learn what it means to be Vietnamese American and a leader. But I think what really resonated with me from this program was the ways that Vietnamese people like tell that their children that they love them. Next slide. So I think what I've heard, a lot of Asian parents don't really tell their kids verbally that they love them. Like it gets stuck in the throat, or it's uncomfortable for them because their parents never really said it. But I think it's really important to say it, because I know a lot of parents, like they cook food and give gifts to them instead of saying it. But I think if you say it, then they'll know that you really love them, truly love them. And I think that life is unpredictable, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Like, you might regret not saying it to your children if they're like gone the next day. Like, you'll regret it. Yeah, next slide, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. I think the orientation session, we didn't really even get to hear Ian really talk that much. Yeah. So like from eight weeks since I think he was playing a game in the back too. so from 8 weeks since then, it's been a long time coming, you know. So thank you, Ian, for sharing a little bit about how we can connect through games. You talked about one of your favorite sessions is the one with the volunteers when they talked a little bit about themselves, right? Yeah. We have a new volunteer this year for Seeds. One of them, Sabrina. And I think you also put together a little bit of a presentation to share, if you could leave one lasting lesson with the mentees for the showcase. So Sabrina, I'm gonna go to you. If y'all could give it up for Sabrina Wynn, one of our volunteers for the program.
And I'm reflecting on the program. I think a big takeaway that I learned, so even as someone who has a full-time job, career, and has been involved in different kinds of community groups, I'm still constantly learning. So it's something that, it's a skill that you'll take with you every step of the way. So you're truly all doing so great. And I think Seeds has been a really special place for me, and what I've heard a lot of you share about being so radically accepted and embraced by not only each other, students from different high schools, rival key clubs, and also from the program directors and staff themselves. Like, everyone really wants you to be there, and you can feel that every step of the way. My favorite session was the Gom Yadin session, I think because that was one of our later sessions, and it was after getting more familiarity with all of the students' faces, and then I got to see a little more of your personalities, and then also see how that translated to the specific foods that you ate in your families and in your households. So I really loved learning more about each of you. And seed that I hope to plant is, I hope to continue volunteering with VAR, with many more seeds to come, and it's also something I do in my full-time job. I also volunteer with, so I work at Stanford University, and one of the things I lead is our Asian Staff Forum, which we connect with adult staff and faculty. So this community work, it's the same thing. You're never going to want to leave it. So yeah, just keep doing that. All right, and for my project that I was very heavily inspired and encouraged to do by our program directors of VAR, I'm calling it Rice and Resilience. So how many of you eat rice? And how many of you recognize the jasmine rice with the bako gao? And so you might notice that that bag is a very thick, like, enduring material. And every time my parents use it, and it's these much bigger bags, so I, for myself, just buy like a 10-pound bag, but usually my parents, have me lug in a 50-pound bag from the car into the house. And I always notice how, like, thick the material is. Like, it has to carry something so important and staple in so many of our daily lives. And so, much like rice itself as a crop, it's very resilient. It withstands a lot of environmental, climate stress. And so I compared it very much to our parents or our family members or community members who have that same type of resiliency, adaptability, and resourcefulness in their lives. And so what I did for VAR specifically was I made this tote bag out of my rice bags. And a skill that I got from my parents is to be very thick. So I'm very scared to throw something away because I don't want to waste anything. So, for example, the straps are made from my 2024 rice bag, and then the actual pocket and bag itself is from 2023, and then I still have my 2025 one that I need to do something with. So yeah, the seeds really inspired me to do something with it because they were kind of just collecting dust. I just wasn't sure what I was going to use it for. So I think repurposing this rice bag really embodies to me the enduring fortitude of the bag, of the family, and also practicing gratitude. So just being grateful that this bag, this rice can carry me through my daily life. It fuels me and can literally hold things together for me. Thank you. And then yeah, just my final note of just in addition to serving that functional purpose, it's also truly a reminder to appreciate all of the resources around us. So just thinking when you purchase something or when you're about to throw something away, how can I prolong the life of this item so that I can prolong the life of myself and generations and the world to come. And much like our parents, to think really creatively and imaginatively about how you can create something everlasting, beautiful from seemingly nothing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna have to bring that like to every year of Seeds from here on out. Yeah. And I think this is a good message to all the mentees that we're gonna have there's a QR code to sign up as a volunteer for like future years. And not just know when you come back as a volunteer, you're not excluded from doing the Seeds Showcase presentation. But thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing. we're getting close to the end. We've got a couple of mentees that couldn't make it out today, and I wanted to just really quickly like share their slides and just give y'all a sense of what they were working on, even if they couldn't be here today or like submit a video. One of our mentees, Sharon Doe, did a presentation on Waves to Memory to kind of connect her experience to the memories of like going and being in Vietnam and like her family that still exists in Vietnam, and then again this connection to like eating together as like this language of love. And I think she quoted her dad, her uncle. There's another slide. Megan did a final slide deck on her family's refugee stories. Sorry, I was available to make a video. Thanks, Megan. Where she did a recipe for bánh cuốn, and one of the VAR's projects right now is that we're putting together a recipe and storybook from our community members. So we invite you all to like contribute to it. But we also asked our mentees to like ask their parents and get these recipes and stories from their families to include in our recipe cookbook. So this one, shout out Megan, will definitely be in the Dom Yadin final project. Let's see. Olive and did a quick video. We got 2 more videos from mentees that I want to share. I think we had like somewhere between like 18 to 20 mentees like every week before we get to our final presentations, and then after the presentation we have this the presentation of our scholarships and our completion certificates. But I'm gonna pass it over to a video of Olive Lim, who's gonna talk a little bit about revitalizing community news.
Hi Seeds, sorry I couldn't be there in person today. A lot of unexpected things came up. But I hope this video will have the same experience as an in-person presentation would. So my name is Olive. I was a Seeds mentee in summer of 2023, and this year came back as a volunteer. And for my showcase today, I'm pitching The Glottal, an independent, youth-run, nonprofit news publication that publishes news in non-English languages, specifically languages that are common in San Jose, whether through translation or writing. So for some context, there was an organization like this before that I was part of called Scribe Forward. The difference was that it only translated to Viet, and it was run by my sister and her friends, and they graduated, they went to college, and they never looked back. So what I've been trying to do for about a year now is give Scribe Forward a whole makeover with a new board, new branding, new processes, and more languages. For some statistics, 60% of San Jose households' main language is a non-English language. And what this does is it creates a lot of room for misinformation, sometimes on purpose and sometimes by accident. Because naturally, things can get lost in translation, but there can also be media manipulation. And what all this misinformation does is create a ripple effect. For example, my blind has lived here for 30 years and she doesn't speak English. She gets her news in Viet, and a lot of the time it's skewed or inaccurate. And in our neighborhood, she has her own network of Bazanoms that she talks to about the news, who go to their children and grandchildren with their own social networks of coworkers and friends and peers. Then you have a cycle of misinformation. And what happens when you have a cycle of misinformation is you have a misinformed voting group. And when you have a misinformed voting group, you have a weak voting group. And I don't like dancing on the topic, I'll just say the cycle of misinformation played a role in the last election. So yes, misinformation can have a really ugly impact. So my plan is to give Scribe Forward a whole new makeover, and these are some targets I have. I'm creating a Facebook account because that's what a lot of elderly San Jose residents consume. And for now, I'm starting with 1 translated article posted per week in the form of shorts, reels, and posts. I'm also aiming for a language expansion. All these languages that you see here are the most commonly spoken in San Jose, excluding English and Viet because they're implied. But right now, to start small, I'm only looking for 2 translators each for Spanish, Viet, Tagalog, and Mandarin. So it's a small editorial board, which means that you have the chance to play a really big role. I'm also a senior this year, and I'll be graduating next year, and I'd really love to continue with the Glottal. But I'd also love to give an underclassman the opportunity to have a bigger impact and become the editor-in-chief of the Glottal too. So starting now would definitely be an opening for that. I'm also aiming for a website, and I'm not a STEM person, but I am willing to go into STEM and learn CS just to have a website. But it would also be great to have a PR manager who could lead this aspect of the Glottal too. And for a sneak peek of the publishing process, it's very simplified. News would first be compiled by a research editor, then translated by the translators, then posted online by PR. And here is the branding I have for it so far. I'm trying to make it look very legit and professional to get elderly to trust it. The things that my grandma trusts anything on the internet, so I don't know if making it look very professional will like deter the elderly or help them. Either way, this is what I'm going for. And here is the Instagram article template. So it's just going to be a picture, the translator, where the article came from, the title, headline, and then the rest of the article in the posts. You can see here for the colors, I used I try to be very fancy with it. So I use the Olympic ring colors, which are the colors that all the flags have, as kind of like a language, global language thing. And that's it. So thank you. Please contact me if you want to help, because this needs a lot of help right now. And I am really excited to get this off the ground and going. I do need a lot more hands on. So here is the Instagram, here is the Gmail, and thank you for listening.
Awesome. Thanks, I think it's wild, and I hope that like y'all see VAR as like a resource for you moving forward. Like if you do have projects, if you want to start a nonprofit, if you want to make yourself or your community better, we can hopefully help you with any of that and more. Our last virtual mentee, Talia, I think she had actually been to like every session except for this one. Sent a couple of videos, her intro video and then her project, which I'm gonna share before or no.
Hello, my name is Talia Nguyen. I'm 16 years old and I go to Yerba Buena High School as a rising junior. Throughout my time at Seeds, I've learned a lot about my community and I've met a lot of new people and made a lot of connections. Seeds has really helped me build a deeper understanding of my Vietnamese culture, heritage, and identity, and it's really made me appreciate my Vietnamese culture a lot more. The session that resonated most with me was session 2 about our refugee roots and resilience. And so that's why I did my project around my parents' journey from Vietnam to the US. The seed I want to plant is to be more involved in my community, such as through VSA, and I hope to encourage others to be able to have the courage to embrace their culture.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Talia. And a short film that she made for her project.
Vào lúc mẹ ở Việt Nam á, mẹ ở đâu?
Nhân Lý, Quy Nhơn, tỉnh Bình Định.
Mẹ đi trường tới mấy tuổi?
Mẹ đi trường tới lớp 8 mà hết rồi.
Sao mẹ không đi trường nữa?
Tại khổ quá, có hai chị em học cùng lớp. Nhưng mà không có tiền đóng tiền học. Rồi thôi cho em nó học, rồi mình nghỉ.
Mẹ có muốn đi học không?
Muốn chứ. Mỗi lần đóng tiền học khó khăn lắm. Xin đóng nhiều lần mà cũng có tiền nữa, nhiều khi mình trốn học mất cỡ.
Thì kiếm tiền làm sao?
Kiếm tiền là đi câu cá về rồi bán cá kiếm tiền. Mà nghèo á là ở biển á, mà mẹ sống bằng biển bằng cá, đất cá. Thì cá nó không có mỗi ngày, nó không có đều mỗi ngày. Có 3 tháng á, là mình không có đi biển được, sóng gió nó lớn, mình không đi ra biển được. Cái đó nó làm mình không có gạo để ăn, mình không có cá, mình không có bắt cá được thì mình không có tiền mà mua gạo nấu. Cho nên á, mình rất là khó khăn trong cái lúc đó, rất là nghèo khổ. Khổ nhất là cái đời sống nó không cái chỗ làm của mẹ nó không có việc làm, chẳng mình đi biển có cá rồi không có cá thì thôi à, nó không có gì tạo công ăn việc làm cho mình hết.
Và lúc tôi đi ở Việt Nam, tôi đi ở đâu?
Bình Định.
Đi kiếm tiền làm sao?
Work trên làm việc ở trên đồng lúa, đi giúp mẹ của daddy, giúp bà của daddy harvest, thu hoạch lúa, vui và mệt. Thì mình không có kiếm ra nhiều tiền, mình không có job, không có nhiều job, mình chỉ có work, mình chỉ có làm việc cho cái farm của mình thôi. Mình có cái farm nhỏ xíu thôi.
Đi học tới lớp gì nữa lại?
Học tới lớp 9.
Là mấy tuổi?
16 tuổi.
Sao đi ngừng học? Sau đó
đi học đi vượt biên. Đi vượt biên mình có tương lai tốt hơn.
Rồi khi đi ở ghe thì có sợ không?
Không sợ, tại vì mình sợ cũng chết mà, không sợ cũng chết. Mình đi 7 ngày á, rồi mình gặp được tàu cá của Taiwan. Nó biết là bão sắp tới á, cho nên nó đem mình về Taiwan ở cho một tuần. Sau đó nó cho mình một cái chiếc kia khác. Bởi vì bão á, nó làm chìm cái chiếc kia của mình rồi. Mình đi vào Philippines. Nó đi về trại tị nạn ở Palawan, ở refugee camp 2 năm đầu tiên.
Có khổ hơn Việt Nam không?
Khổ hơn, giống nhau, khổ hơn một chút. Mình chỉ ở đó mình chờ cái application mình á, cái đơn xin đi Mỹ của mình á, nó chấp nhận. Khi mẹ đi vượt biên á, dẫn mẹ về nhà Dưỡng Thành á, để đi gặp mẹ. Nói mẹ đẹp gái.
Thì hồi lúc mẹ đi vượt biên mẹ bao nhiêu tuổi?
Lúc đó 20 tuổi.
Mẹ đi với ai?
Đi với bạn năm 1999. Thì lúc đó mẹ muốn giống như đời bây giờ mình lớn lên rồi mà mình không có công ăn việc làm, ở chỗ mình không có công ăn việc làm thì mình rủ nhau mình đi vô Sài Gòn làm ăn, giống như vô cái chỗ mà nó tạo nhiều công ăn việc làm á, thì mình đi vô đó mình nó dễ kiếm việc làm thì mình đi. Thì khi mà mình rủ người đó đi á thì cái người đó nó nói thôi mày đi vượt biên không, cho nên rồi mẹ mới nói ủa vượt biên sao giờ này còn đi, rồi cái mẹ đi theo nó hỏi mày đi không, nó đi.
Dạ lúc đó nó trẻ lắm đúng không?
Đúng rồi.
Giờ đó
lúc đó là nó đóng cửa hết rồi, không có tị nạn rồi gì nữa hết rồi, nó cao ủy Liên Hợp Quốc nó đóng cửa hết rồi.
Thì không ai đi vượt biên nữa.
Không.
Thì mẹ đi
10 năm rồi nó không có ai đi vượt biên nữa hết.
Thì mẹ đi mẹ có sợ không?
Sợ chứ.
Trước khi mẹ đi mẹ có nói ai không?
Không, mẹ không nói ai. Hồi lúc mẹ bắt vô Phi á, cái người Phi nó hiền lắm, nó dễ thương lắm. Nó giúp mẹ hả? Nó cho quần áo mình ha, nó cho dép mình mang ha. Hồi lúc á mẹ nghe mấy người đi vượt biên trước á, nói khai tuổi nhỏ đi, phải không? Để mình được có nhiều cái benefit á, để mình được ưu tiên á. Cái mẹ khai ở trong kia mình có 17 tuổi không, rồi 17, 18 tuổi rồi, 19 tuổi là cao nhất rồi. Nó mang đôi dép á, nhỏ mang cái lưỡi chân, người ta đọc tin tức á, cái người ta đi, cái người Việt mình á, nó ở đó nó tới thăm rồi nó có cho tiền, nó có cho đồ ăn, nó cho nhiều đồ ăn luôn. Rồi lúc nó nhốt mình ở trong đó mấy tháng, nó nhốt vào trong trại lính á, thì hình như nhốt lâu quá thì nó cũng thấy mình tội á. Là cái ông governor đó, ông mới nói, ông mới lúc mà bảo lãnh ra để mình được ra ngoài mình làm ăn thì ông cho đi, rồi mỗi 3 tháng vậy là quật lại để mình ra tòa. Cái diện của mẹ là mình đi tới đó là bất hợp pháp, nó không có một cái giấy tờ gì, nó không có gì cho mình hết đó. Rồi lúc đó thì mẹ quay nó đi thì lúc đó đi làm giấy tờ cho mình đi Mỹ luôn.
Nó đi dạy không?
Dạ. Mấy người đã đi chờ mình 7 năm để đi Mỹ rồi. Còn mẹ con không có dài rồi. Để đi.
Thì tôi đi mới đi Mỹ, tôi đi ở đâu?
Thì mình ở nhà dì Hà 1 tháng.
Rồi sau đó?
Từ đó mình chuyển ra ngoài, mình mướn nhà ở, rồi để đi học machinist á.
Lần đầu tiên làm á thì đâu biết làm gì, từ đi rửa xe, đi học bằng lái xe. Mẹ cũng đi làm nail, mẹ đi học nail, mẹ đi học tiếng Mỹ, rồi mẹ cũng đi làm cho trời. So với Mỹ, với Việt Nam là Mỹ the best. Tôi yêu nước Mỹ.
Awesome. Thank you, Talia, for the video. We look back in time and hear these conversations happening in real time. I think like a lesson that we're taking away, or something that I'm taking away, is that again, somewhere down the line, this conversation it just hits, you know? It's something that we don't always have a chance to preserve, and I think y'all having these presentations like captures these moments in history that if we didn't, we would otherwise lose. Our last but not least, final presentation for today are a pair of mentees, Bao and Ung, who actually, and y'all can see kind of like the back end as the mentees prepared all of this, all of the different links, and their slides and their projects, right? Giving y'all a little bit of a sneak peek in case y'all got nephews, nieces, aunties, uncles with folks that might want to send their children to us. I'll find the introduction slide.
You had it.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Is it
Third one.
third one? This one? Okay, cool. Bao and Ung, I'm gonna invite y'all both up because y'all did your presentation together. And I'm gonna give you both mics. And then y'all go first. Y'all can give it up for our youngest mentees this year, I think. 8th graders.
Okay, hi. My name is Bao. From Seeds, I'm half Chinese, and
Put it close here.
I'm half Chinese, so I'm definitely more connected with that side of me. So from Seeds, I learned lots about Vietnam that I didn't know before. My favorite session was the scavenger hunt. It was interactive and fun. I got to meet new people, and we had lots of fun, and we won too.
Nice.
The seeds I will plant, definitely just being more involved in the Vietnamese community in general, because that's something I'm not used to, and I wasn't used to until I joined Seeds. My name is Ondo. I go to Redwood Middle School. I'm 13 years old, and I learned a lot about Vietnam and different aspects of my culture in Seeds. My favorite session was Arts and Expression because I just found it very interesting, and I also want to be more involved in the community.
And then your presentation is on. Go for it.
So we are presenting 5 things you didn't know about the Vietnamese American Service Center. I'm I'm 13 and I go to Redwood Middle School. I'm Bao, I'm also 13 and I also go to Redwood Middle School. So the first interesting fact about the VASC is that in the lobby of the VASC, the window facing the street has a big letter V, and it's yellow, and it stands for Vietnam or the Vietnamese people. And on the ground in the lobby and in this room, there's the recognizable coastline of Vietnam with the different shades of green for the rice fields. The second fact is about the bamboo. The VASC is adorned with a green and light brown metal panel to resemble the bamboo grove that protects the traditional Vietnamese village. The bamboo pattern is also etched into the large glass windows of the main stairs. Bamboo is very symbolic in Vietnamese culture as it represents strength, resilience, and adaptability. Bamboo bends, but it doesn't break easily. It's also used in everyday life in Vietnam, such as from making chopsticks to being used as construction equipment. A bamboo pattern was also used on the exterior of the old Vietnamese presidential palace. The next interesting detail about the VASC is that it is eco-friendly. So the VASC design embraces environmental sustainability principles. So it's zero net energy ready, and it's among the first all-electric, non-residential buildings in the area. And it operates without fossil fuels or carbon emissions. And all the commonly used spaces, like the offices, gathering areas, and the lobby are designed to have a lot of natural light and outside views instead of using mostly ceiling lights, with the exception of the interior exam rooms. The plaques.
the plaques in the courtyard in front of the VASC have an interesting story behind them. Originally, they were supposed to be shaped like baskets, modeling baskets used in Vietnam. Instead, the plaques were designed based on engravings of the Dong Son drums. The short paragraphs on the plaques also went through multiple revisions to be approved by a local community group.
The last interesting fact about the VASC is that in 2023, it won the AIA Silicon Valley People's Choice Award, which reflects broad public appreciation and the building's success as a recognizable landmark. The award was voted for by thousands of local people in San Jose who chose the building that most resonated with them. The VASC was one out of 6 projects that won the award.
I have one question for you while you're both up there, is how do you know so much about the VASC?
Our dad designed it.
Damn, just mic drop.
Thank y'all both, twins, for sharing Bao and An. And that, I mean, it brings us back to this place that we've all been able to gather here, that y'all, our mentees, have gathered here for throughout the past 8 weeks, right? Thank y'all for putting so much effort and time